Welcome to What Series 14, and I think this is about number 10. So, I need to set the scene here. Genesis chapter 6, there's some big stuff in this. Verse 1, when men began to increase in number on the earth and the daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years. Oh, that's interesting. God all of a sudden sets an age limit. Remember, previously, they lived for hundreds of years, 900 years. And remember that these guys, they live for a long time. Now God is restricting it. Why? Because there's enough people. At least that's the inference. He let people live a long time to build up the numbers. Next, we get to a really bizarre thing. It's about big people. Not in difference to little people or kids, but really, really big people. It says, verse 4, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of men and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. What the heck is a Nephilim? Well, it means ones falling, or violent ones, or possibly giants. Elsewhere in the Pentateuch, it's referred to the great men who were in the land of Canaan at the time of the Exodus. Here, Nephilim appears to refer to great men of antiquity. Since the author has just referred to a number of these men in chapter 5, and that's worth going back and having a look at, perhaps these were men of renown. Just maybe that is what we referred to in the past. Now, Nephilim were the old blokes like, I suppose, Methuselah and stuff like that. And in the days of the Exodus and stuff like that, which would appear in conflict with our taking them as the great men, unless the word is generic and just means great men. See what happens sometimes? We're not exactly sure what some of these things happen. It also creates problems with the total earth flood theory, but we don't want to get there too much today. Now we are going to get into some tricky areas. Verse 33 says, we saw the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. The hard part to understand still is this bit about the sons of God having children with daughters of men. Is this kind of like angels and women getting together? I'm not sure. The conservative view of this is that these terms are relational terms for men and women and used and to give a poeticism or something like that. True, the text is poetically written, we've got to remember that. Can it mean that the Nephilim had special relationship with God? Possibly. Maybe they were great men of God. Hey, we don't exactly know, but that's probably one of the best scenarios we can come up with. The term came to mean great or great warrior. Why the term is used in this circumstances, well, I'm not sure exactly where it fits, but I keep looking. I don't know everything, but I'm going to keep looking. But this sets the scene. These great men, maybe great godly men, seem to either be dying out or being led astray as society is disintegrating. In verse 5, it says, the Lord saw how great man's wickedness on the earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil at the time. The Lord was grieved that he had made men on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So the Lord said, I will wipe mankind out, whom I have created from the face of the earth, men and animals and creatures that move along the ground and birds of the air, for I am grieved that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Wow. Here we have the situation that causes the great flood. Wickedness. Verses 5 to 8, and these verses form the introduction to the proper flood story. the cause of the flood is tied directly to the early account of the fall of mankind. I suppose if you want chapter 3 of Genesis. The flood is a reaction to sin. Although humans had obtained the knowledge of good and evil, it had not been beneficial to be able to work out what was good and evil. They were far better off when they had to trust God for knowing what the good was. The grief and the pain of human sin were not something that only people felt. God himself was grieved over it. And when we look at verse 8, it is to say that no more than that Noah found favour in God's sight. No, one person, just one person. I wonder why God found an exception in him. Again, there is some tough stuff here. God is grieved about making mankind, and surely the all-knowing God would have seen that it happened. Yeah, but he still gives people a chance to have a go at getting it right. Notice too, God hurts. That's an interesting thought process, isn't it? God is in pain about how people live and treat him. We are made in his image. We get hurt by how people treat us. We are allowed to feel hurt. God created us with that emotion. Right before God feeling hurt, we have to recognize the pain that we cause him, but the pain we feel as well. How do we react is another thing. How we have a responsibility to react biblically to those who hurt us and forgive them. Yep. For me, not to react to a person's criticism or attack on me would mean that I'd be a pretty callous bloke, a pretty callous person. We do feel hurt, and we're allowed to, but we need to deal with that with integrity. God felt pain, and he had the right to wipe out the world. He didn't quite do it that way. A compassionate God. He found one thing that pleased him, Noah. It doesn't say Noah was perfect, just that he found favour in God's eyes. It also shows us how to treat people who wrong us. Don't give up on them. Find a solution. Be fair but decisive. Don't wipe things out. Find a way or a new way of doing things. Hey, I like that. God found a different way, or a different way for man to live. And there will be more about that in the coming weeks.